The following podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. Like what you hear? Want more of it ad-free, uncensored, and earlier? Sign up today at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and start getting more for as little as $2 a month. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for your main event, where news and opinions on the sport of kings collide. WrestleMedia is proud to present The Wrasslun Show. Welcome to The Wrasslun Show, part of WrestleMedia, where everything is wrestling, and wrestling is everything. I'm at Adam Conta, that's at Matthew Sucrum. Matt, are you a gamer?
I would say I'm not someone that could win $9 million like these 16-year-olds playing video games, but I dabble.
So you're talking? Did that happen recently? Did a kid take home $9 million?
I think that's what it was
for playing video games
on that Fortnite tournament.
Oh wow, $9 million. Can he even legally have that much money?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess his parents are pretty happy.
Yeah, well, no doubt. He's about to get really popular at school, I'll tell you that much. Didn't matter if kids are ostracizing him all day because they're like, all he does is sit around and play Fortnite. And now he's like walking by with like, I don't know, gold shoes or whatever kids buy with their money these days. And like,
yeah, I mean, I was pretty popular because I had like 3 holographic Pokemon cards at the same time once.
I was never popular, so that really doesn't apply to me at all. So,
get off the computer, cat. Sorry.
What just happened there?
The cat got on the computer.
And he was like, Dad, I can play video games. Why don't you love me?
He was like, watch this. Tap, 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 tap.
I can play video games, Dad. Jeez.
Okay, I finally found it. 16-year-old. It was $3 million grand prize, but it was like there was $9 million in prizes.
Oh, well,
total.
Forget it then. He's a loser. $3 million?
Yeah, $3 million.
Nobody.
Make that in my sleep.
What if you were to win $3 million for playing a video game? Which game would it be? Do you think? What game were you the best at, or in terms of what game were you good at enough that you were like, yeah, you know what? Maybe if there was a tournament, I could win $3 million.
Maybe GoldenEye on the N64.
Ooh.
I wasn't bad at that.
Good choice. Good choice.
But that's a funny thing. I've played video games all my life. I'm actually not very good at them.
Yeah, me either.
Like, so when I play against other people, I'm just like, oh my god, what am I doing wrong?
Probably No Mercy 64. That's the game that I could probably have played and won in a tournament. I was pretty damn good at that game.
You know what? I won WrestleMania 2000 from my buddy. My buddy said, I'll be in a match, like we'll be in a match, and if you win, you can have the game. Because he was looking to sell it. I was like, I'll buy it. Or I was like, why don't you just give it to me since we're friends? And he was like, I don't like you that much. So we played for it. And he was Austin. I think I was Undertaker. Because, I was either Undertaker or Kane. I remember hitting a tombstone, pinning him, and as the referee's hand was coming down for the 3, he turned the power off and stormed out of the room.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
He flipped the table on you.
Yeah.
He flipped the board.
Yeah.
What a punk. What's his name? Call him out here on the podcast.
His first name's David.
Dave? I'm going to call him Dave.
I won't say
Dave,
his last name, but
you're a punk, Dave. Let me put that out there right now. Dave, you're a punk.
So, yeah.
Be a man, Dave. Come on, don't be scared. You're running from Matthew. That's what I heard. Be a man, Dave. Come on, don't be a chump. I never thought Dave would go out like a punk.
Damn, that was good.
Well, no, I just stole it from Randy Savage.
You should be on BET.
Yeah. I should be nowhere near BET.
Brothers Entertainment Television.
I think
you're a brother.
I think it would make a lot of people very angry, and rightfully so, I might add.
So let's not do that. Instead, let's keep talking about wrestling video games. Matt, WWE released the cover
Come on there.
for their.
I'm listening to a lot of rap, so I'm just assuming.
WWE released the cover for WWE 2K20. And
Nice segue.
thanks. Yeah, no, it wasn't, but that's okay. We're kind of we're just going to stumble our way through it. No problem. Man, what a great decision to put Becky Lynch on the cover. Don't you think?
Yeah, why not? She's the man.
Apparently.
One of the hottest characters in WWE over the last year now, because it was right around this time that she turned on, well, not really turned on Charlotte, but beat the crap out of her after their SummerSlam match and solidified herself as the man. She
main evented WrestleMania. She couldn't be more popular, right? So it's the perfect time to put her on the cover. I thought they should have done it a year ago. They thought they were going to go with Ronda Rousey last year, and I thought that would have been the right choice. But that's okay. We finally got a woman on the cover of the box. Now, I know a lot of people out there have been like saying, oh, that's not true. It's not the first time we've seen it. Trish Stratus was on the cover of Day of Reckoning, or Stacy Keibler was on the cover of another version of the game, and blah. Chyna was on SmackDown. Yeah. But this is the first time a woman's rolled up on the cover solo, front and center, all on her own, and that's kind of awesome.
Agreed.
Why aren't you saying anything, Matt? What's going on? What's with the cough? What does that mean?
Well, she's not alone.
What?
No. There's a guy there.
Excuse me?
There's a big dog behind her.
Oh, like a metaphorical thing, like, Becky Lynch, she's the dog that runs the yard now, right?
I wish that's all that was there.
I wish I hadn't killed that fish.
That fish.
And that fish's name is Roman Reigns. Yeah. So no, she's not alone though. She's sharing the cover with Roman Reigns. Now I'm going to start this rant by saying that I got nothing against Roman Reigns. I like Roman Reigns. I'm a fan of Roman Reigns. He does not need to be on this cover though. Or he's got to be alone on this cover. I just think that them sharing the cover is a cop-out. I think it's stupid to say we put Becky Lynch on the cover when she has to share it with Roman Reigns. When they put The Rock on the cover of 2K14, he didn't have to share it with anybody. When they put Stone Cold on the cover of 2K16, he didn't have to share it with anybody. AJ Styles didn't have to share it with anybody last year. Brock Lesnar didn't have to share it in 2017. If you think that it's unfair to compare Becky Lynch to those people, fine. You're more than welcome to argue that. But the fact of the matter is, nobody was sitting there going, you know what? I just don't know if AJ Styles is a big enough star to carry that cover on his own. And clearly, in my mind, I shouldn't say clearly, it's what I see. What I see here is the WWE saying, we should put Becky Lynch on the cover here because she's one of our most popular superstars, and there's going to be a lot of backlash if we don't include her on the cover. But we really don't know if, as a woman, she can carry that by herself. And I think that's baloney. I think it's garbage that they're like, we better put Roman Reigns on there just in case people get confused because, a girl on a wrestling game? What is this witchcraft? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about
it. I think it is a complete cop-out. I think for any wrestling fan, I think Becky Lynch is almost synonymous with everything related to wrestling right now, and I think giving her the cover by herself would have been fine. I wouldn't have seen anything wrong with it. It would have made sense based on everything she's done in the last year.
Yeah, it's a real shame that they felt like they couldn't put her on there, or the marketing people thought like, well, we need a guy on there so people don't get confused. Like, I don't understand this idea that they're gonna. But here's the thing: maybe they're right. Maybe there's just too many fans out there who are so crass that they would think that, you know what, I'm not going to buy the game unless there's a dude on the cover. Or there are people out there that are like, well, if it's not a guy, it can't be a wrestling game. Like, Jesus.
I don't know. So the cover of SmackDown vs. Raw 2000 has Triple H in the middle, and over his left arm, there's Rey Mysterio in like a blue light, and under his left arm there's Batista in a blue light, and over his right arm there's John Cena in a red light under the Raw sign, and under his right arm is Tori Wilson walking down the ramp.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, could you have not done something like that? Like have Becky Lynch front and center with both of the titles. I know she's not the double champion anymore, but have Becky Lynch front and center and just have it say WWE 2K20, and then in the they're promoting the big women's evolution story mode in this game.
It's the four horsewomen.
So you could have done then you could have done the women around her: Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, and then Rousey.
It's not about
because then you would have been like, not only is this the first time we're having a woman on the cover, but like we're focusing on the women's aspect of this wrestling game. It would, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, and I don't have a problem. I wouldn't have cared if they I wouldn't have cared if they chose Charlotte Flair for the cover, because she's really the crown jewel. She's the person that they want to push in that division. Cool, I don't have a problem with that. The problem I have is, why don't you just let her stand alone? Like, let her be the cheese. The cheese stands alone. That's what I was always taught as a kid. So, let her cheese it up on the cover, all right?
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about it. So, let's move on to some healthier topics. Matt, we're going to talk a little bit about our guests on the show this week. Fear the Beard. I'm so excited that these guys are going to come on for part 1 of a 2-part episode. They're going to be talking a little bit about fighting back, as well as, of course, their history, their time in the pro wrestling industry, their big age difference, musical influences, and the one time they took a swim unexpectedly in the waters of Lake Ontario. We're going to talk about that all within the next 2 episodes, but first we're going to get to part 1 of that interview right now. I'm very pleased to be on the line with Kayan and Cable. It's Fear the Beard. Guys, thanks so much for being on the show with us today.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. And I'd have to also say thank you for pronouncing my name right. It's not often that happens.
Well, I have a French last name, so I know the pain of having a name that should be easy to pronounce, but nobody gets it. So I feel your pain. I really, really do. Guys, I want to let you know that you're making history with us here at the Wrasslun Show. This is the first time in history that we've ever done a tag team as one guest on the show. We have had Freak Nation on together, but that was a co-podcast with another group. So congratulations, you're history making already. 30 seconds into your view. Good job.
That's a good way to start the weekend, I guess.
All right, guys, I want to start off by talking about how you guys know each other, because where did you guys meet? Where did you guys form this bond? Because, it's easy to just slap 2 guys together and say, okay, you're a team now. But you guys have found a lot of success together, and that comes from chemistry. That comes from working together, and it comes from forming a bond. So kind of take me back. Either one of you want to start off telling us about where you guys met and how the bond that would eventually become Fear the Beard started.
To address the point that you mentioned, thankfully for us, we weren't just thrown together. It was something that kind of grew organically and grew out of a mutual respect for one another. So I think that definitely contributes to the chemistry that we have in the ring and the success that we found so far.
Yeah, so we met when we were both training at Torture Chamber Pro Wrestling Dojo in Montreal. You're the 2 guys with the big beards in the room and the tattoos. Naturally, we hit it off pretty quick, and then once we started wrestling, it just seemed like a natural fit to tag up and do it together.
And how were things between the 2 of you guys at first? Did you guys have an instant connection, or did it take a little bit of time and work for you guys to start to gel?
We got along, but with the friendly competition. Cable had started a few months before me, so when I came in, there was a little bit of that, here's another long-haired, bearded, tattooed guy. and, always trying to kind of outdo each other, and then realizing, that we, as Cable said, we're better off working together. So there wasn't any animosity per se, but more of just the wanting to outdo the other guy.
Cable, I got to ask your first impressions of Kane when you first saw him. Did you immediately eye him up as competition, or did you feel like, oh, here's somebody like me?
Well, I think it was a bit of both. I mean, yeah, here's another guy that looks like me, but out there, everyone's got to be viewed as competition on some level because there's only so many spots. So until we decided we were going to join up, everybody's competition. But that faded away pretty quickly as I got to know him a bit better, and we made some plans to start working together. So,
about how long did it take for the two of you guys to kind of start gelling and working together? Was there an instantaneous click where you guys realized, oh, we work really, really well together, or was this something you guys had to work at?
I mean, ironically, we hadn't done a lot of tag team training together while at the dojo. It was kind of something that we had, when I was already wrestling as a singles wrestler, that we had kind of started to discuss. And then, the opportunity arose. We got a booking working together, and, just hit it off from there. And, progressively it just been, in my opinion anyways, and I hope the fans feel the same way, getting better. So.
Yeah, and it was funny because right off the bat, when we took that first booking as a team, we had all these ideas of how, like, oh, this is what one of us does, this is what the other guy does. Well, let's put it together. And I'd suggest something that I would do, and then John would follow it up, and vice versa. And it's just grown kind of organically from that.
Now, obviously,
and even, yeah, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, even to this day, I mean, we still come up with stuff like that. Cable just showed me something the other day that he wants to modify and incorporate into his arsenal. And instantly in my head, it was like, oh, okay, well, how can I, assist with that, or come after it, or before it, and it's, so it's really, it's a real back and forth dynamic between us. So.
I wanted to ask about, you guys are talking about how now you're putting together stuff and you guys are working well together, you're gelling together. What is something about the other that you found surprising that you didn't expect out of your partner? So, Kayan, let's start with you. What's something about Cable that really surprised you that you didn't expect when you first met him?
How diverse his influences are. We tend to gravitate towards wrestlers that kind of fit our body style or our main type of, fighting style, regardless of what fighting sport you're in. MMA guys tend to follow different MMA guys based on who they're training with and so on. But he surprises me constantly with, oh, I was thinking of doing this, and it's from a wrestler that, I would have never thought about him being a fan of or studying. Whereas mine, if you watch me wrestle, you can kind of figure out who my influences are. Cable kind of takes it from all over the place, which opens up a lot of opportunities and makes me think a little bit harder. So.
And Cable, what about you? What's something about Kayan that kind of surprised you weren't expecting when you first met him?
Well, something that kind of surprised me about him is that he has a complete disregard for his own safety most of the time and is willing to do just about anything to give the crowd a good show, including but not limited to getting thrown into the harbor of Lake Ontario.
Well, come on, we got to tell that story then. Let's backtrack a little bit and talk about that.
Well,
I'll let you tell it because you got to witness it. So I had a very distinct angle on it, and I'll chime in my 10 cents after.
Well, so we were doing a show in the park on the waterfront in Kingston for Chinlock Wrestling, and we were facing off against the Double Dragon. And here I am, just in the ring, minding my own business, duking it out with Eddie Alam, one of the dragons. I see Kayan and the other dragon have brawled out to the outside. I figure Kayan's got a good handle on things. And all of a sudden, I hear a massive splash, and the crowd the collective gasp of everybody in that park. And I look over, and I see him crawling out of the lake, and I'm like, this is not going to end well.
All right, so now, Kayan, we heard Cable talk about what it was like to witness that. Now you got to walk us through your thought process. Was this a spur of the moment decision, or was this something that in the back you were thinking to yourself, yeah, okay, I'm going to make a splash quite literally at this show?
Well, I did have an intention to make a splash, but my intention was to throw Pat Classic into Lake Ontario. And unfortunately, you know, as often is the case, it backfired on me. You know, Cable alluded to the fact that I have no regard for my own body. And a lot of times when I try to use that against my opponent, it backfires on me. So this was another one of those situations, and I found out afterwards that the city of Kingston at the time was under an E. coli advisory. And I spent 3 days the next week just violently ill. So pay attention before jumping into bodies of water and make sure that there's no health advisories, and if there are, stay away. And also, I don't suggest wrestlers going near water because wrestling boots and wrestling shoes can get very heavy very fast when they fill up with water.
That was going to actually be my next question, was about the boots and the gear afterwards, and did you have to burn them afterwards because of the E. coli?
No, but when I got home, I washed like all of my gear with, I think I washed it 3 times in a row before putting it, you know, on the line to dry. And as for the boots and everything, I was thankfully wearing shoes that day. Because it was very hot in Kingston, and I luckily had my wrestling shoes, so I decided to put those on that day. So thankfully my boots weren't damaged, but I had to wash the shoes a few times, and we had this disinfectant spray that we use post-match on our gear, so I sprayed a lot of that on it, and I don't think the smell's gone yet.
I got to ask about the drive back home. At that point in time, were you guys riding with somebody? Was there a long trip, and how much longer was it because of the water and the smell and the sickness?
Well, the sickness didn't kick in until a couple days later. So there was that.
You got lucky, kind of.
One of the rare occasions that we weren't riding together, and he was by himself, so nobody else had to endure it. But
but usually you guys are traveling together then as a team.
Quite often, yeah. Whenever it's more convenient.
So who's the driver usually? Who's the wheelman, and who sits around and plays DJ?
Depends where the starting point is, really. You know, if I say drive to his house and then we're leaving from his house to go to whatever venue, then, you know, sometimes he'll drive. There's no rule of thumb per se, so. We haven't gotten into one of those really long road trips yet where we have to switch out. So, are you guys hoping to someday? Absolutely,
for sure. We would like to go everywhere and wrestle everybody. So, hopefully there'll be some long road trips in our future.
Do you guys have any specific promotions or cities, places you'd like to go and travel to that are on your bucket list right now?
Well, a big one for me was Kingston, which is actually my hometown. But I crossed that off this summer, so I'm in the process of, you know, reevaluating and picking the next dream destination, personally.
And you know, the other destination that was on his bucket list, he's going to be checking off in a few weeks when he joins me in Toronto. I would like to wrestle a little bit more in the Toronto area, seeing as that's where I'm from. So there's definitely that. Other than that, I mean, I think it goes without saying we'd like to break into the U.S., but, you know, there are limitations on that. You know, we need visas and so on and so forth. So, you know, that one takes a little bit more work, and also somebody that wants to book us with a visa and so on. So if anyone's listening that wants to, you know, we'll definitely come down and work for you.
And we'll definitely give you the chance to let people know where they can find you guys and book you guys coming up in just a little bit. One show that I want to talk about is Fighting Back, coming up in August 16th, actually. WrestleMedia is going to be there in person. We're going to be attending the event. We're so honored to be a part of it. And I wanted to ask you guys about your thoughts on the event. Where did you first hear about it? And your thoughts on this year's spectacular with the big names that they got bringing in, Cody and Joey Janela and MJF. You guys must be excited about it.
Absolutely. I'll speak first on this one, Cable, simply because my my history of it is a little bit shorter, so I'll be done much quicker. I actually found out about Fighting Back 3 years ago when I moved and started getting involved in wrestling. And oddly enough, my second match ever in front of a crowd was at Fighting Back 7 in the VIP Battle Royal. So that was just mind blowing for me to be able to see that level of production and that level of quality that early in my career. Yeah, I was just in a VIP Battle Royal before the show, but you get to experience the whole show and see what a great promotion and a great atmosphere they provide for all of their wrestlers. So that's my history with Fighting Back, and every match I've seen so far for this year, I'm looking forward to. So.
Hey, this is a commercial for patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca, where you can get early access to episodes of your favorite WrestleMedia shows, get full uncut and uncensored versions of your favorite shows, and more. Don't want to hear this commercial on your podcast anymore? Sign up at our main event tier and get these episodes ad-free. Want to hear your own commercial here instead of ours? We've got tiers for that too. Visit patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and join the WrestleMedia revolution today.
I started helping out with Fighting Back about, I want to say possibly 2 years before John's first match, which would be, I guess, Fighting Back 5, if I can do math in my head properly. And just as a volunteer, building the ring and helping out as security and such. And I've done so every year since, and they've just been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this year is just like head and shoulders above anything. I just saw today there's only 15 tickets left total, like not just like total, and then it's sold out a month, well, three weeks away. It's just crazy. I can't even begin to imagine how big that show is going to be. There's only 2 matches announced yet, and they're just completely star-studded matches that I never thought I would get to see at like my local promotion. So I cannot wait for this event.
I think it's fair to say, though, that Fighting Back as a show itself, as an event, has really earned a reputation as being one of the, if not the, must-see events of the summer for professional wrestling in our area, because you are guaranteed to see some great talent, no doubt, but you're also going to see said talent put out a really fantastic effort because of the cause behind it. Now, Cable, you've been involved with it a little bit more than Kay, but I did want to ask both of you guys if you're familiar at all with either the work or personally Frank Morin, the guy who inspired this entire event.
Unfortunately,
go ahead.
Sorry. Unfortunately, I kind of came around the wrestling scene after Fighting Back had already been around for a few years. I've seen some footage since, but I never had the opportunity to meet the man while he was with us.
You basically stole the words that I was going to say. So, I mean, the same thing applies to me. I've heard nothing but great things, but unfortunately it was before my time.
It is kind of amazing, though, to think that one man was able to inspire so many to act so selfless on a huge, huge night where really other promotions might have decided to, you know what, we can give a portion of these proceeds, or we're just going to give some of this to charity. But this show is really unique in a sense that 100% of the ticket sales, and from what I've heard, all of the boys' pay as well, gets donated. Everything goes towards the Canadian Cancer Society, which is kind of incredible in its own way. Talk a little bit, since you guys have both been involved in the shows, about the atmosphere. For anybody who may be on the fence, thinking about buying one of those last 15 tickets, talk about the atmosphere and what makes it different from other wrestling shows.
I mean, in the dressing room, for one, for me, it was amazing to kind of see that, you know, like you said, it's a charity show where, you know, if not everybody, most people are doing it for free. And yet every single person there wanted to give their absolute all. And it reflected in the matches. So, you know, as far as a dressing room, you know, everyone was just excited to be able to put on the best match possible. And, as much as we want to do that every show, that emotion behind it, made everybody want to use the cliche, they wanted to give 110%. And that's something that you don't necessarily see in every dressing room. So.
And in terms of on the other side of the curtain, the fan atmosphere is unreal. It's just the biggest group of wrestling fans that all know that they're there and why they're there to support this great cause, and they're all there to have a great time and enjoy some great matches.
I wanted to quickly ask you guys about an opportunity. Let's have a little bit of fun with this, and let's say if you guys had the booking sheet for Fighting Back, you guys can book anybody to wrestle on that show in that atmosphere in that building. Who would you book?
Are we restricted to just active wrestlers, or?
You know what? For fun, we'll just say whoever you want, and it's you guys against your dream team. Who would it be?
I mean, as a team, I think we'd have to say the Hardy Boys. Both of us being fans of them, to get to see them perform in that type of an atmosphere, I think would be amazing.
Well, as Kay had said, we are both big fans of the Hardy Boys, so that would be probably the dream match. In terms of local guys, I'd love to at some point get the chance to work with, TDT, who are, of course, in the main event of this Fighting Back. There's just so many great local tag teams I'd like to work with. # the best. I'm not going to get into listing because I know I'm going to forget somebody, but just there's so many talented tag teams in the area right now that I would like to get in the ring with.
I wanted to quickly ask you guys, before we talk about some fun stuff, what would you say has been the biggest matchup for you guys up to this point in your career? It's a tough question to answer.
Yeah, I'm tempted to go with our title match where we won the first ever PCW tag team titles. Because of the significance of that. I'm originally from there. I was born there, but I grew up in Toronto. And it was the first place that we had wrestled as a tag team. And then to win the first ever tag team titles there was definitely a big night.
I'm going to say, yeah, that one will always be a big one for us. But in terms of, at the time what our biggest matchup was, I think just prior to that, we actually had at the same promotion, BCW in Bournemouth, a 3 Stages of Hell match with a tag team called the Dad Bod Squad. And that was the first time that I really felt like we pushed the envelope on what we could do. And I ended up getting handcuffed to the ropes, and John went through a door. And so that was really a level up moment for us, I think.
Well, it definitely sounds... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to put a third one in there, because it was the first time that we had kind of wrestled in front of that size of crowd and that level of production of shows. And it was on my birthday, so that makes it a little bit more special as well. We wrestled a show for Torture Chamber Pro Wrestling called Montreal Mayhem, and it was, I can't remember the exact, about 500 to 600 people, full light show, everything, just such a great atmosphere. And we were facing longtime rivals of ours, the Shoot-A-Con Fight Team. So that one as well holds a special place for me.
Probably one of the coolest venues we've ever wrestled in, too. It's this old church in Montreal that they've converted into like a concert or a, venue. They got like a stage set up, and they got balcony seating, and it's a really cool place.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about beards and hair. Obviously, your name is Fear the Beard. Where did you guys come up with that name, first of all?
Well, actually, it organically, in some places anyways, became our tag name. It was never actually intended that way, and, we're not fighting it because it sums us up very well. But it was actually given to us, let's say, by a fan. We were wrestling a show, and our opponents came out, and a fan yelled it at them. And then the fans started chanting it. So, it became a slogan that we put on the back of our shirt, and it became a slogan that we would yell out during matches. And then it started showing up on posters, and it started showing up, on various social media stuff, and we just went with it. So. kind of how a lot of our tag team career has gone, just kind of organically. We don't try and push too much. You know, we will discuss things and talk about it, and if it feels right, then we do it. We don't push to make something fit that doesn't feel organic.
Well, then I have to quickly ask about the beards themselves, because, you know, a lot of people think that anybody can just grow a beard, but that's not the case. And certainly it's an exception when it comes to the glorious faces that you guys have. So I would like to ask for a beard tip from each of you. What's the one tip that you guys would like to give to any aspiring beard growers out there, such as your current host?
Well, my big thing, and I'll go first because my beard is the newest chronologically. My big thing is you may not look the way you want it as it's coming in, but you just gotta let it grow a bit, and then once you have something to work with, you can pick a style, or in my case, just keep letting it grow constantly.
I think one that I think a lot of people make the mistake of is overwashing your beard. As bad as that may sound, and it's the same thing with your hair. You don't need to wash your hair every single day because you're actually just doing damage to it. And facial hair is that much more sensitive. So, make sure that you're not using something that has too many chemicals in it or is, too abrasive. And, don't overdo it. And find yourself a good, beard oil or a balm or a whip, what might I say, and just take care of it.
You guys want to promote any particular products? Hope to get yourself a sponsorship?
Well, I mean, that's not the intention, but we there is a product we've been using lately, a line of products we've been using that we do feel is a very good product, and we would like to mention since you've given us this opportunity. That product is Mean Beard, and since I stole John Slender after he brought up the Mean Whip, I'll let him talk more of the specifics.
They're a great company. One of their brand ambassadors actually approached us after the Chinlock 5 show that we did in Kingston. And, he just talked to us about the product. Just happened to coincide with I was running out of my current beard oil. So I jumped online. I placed an order. I got us both some. And I don't have a complaint in the world about it. That Mean Whip product that Cable alluded to is it's fantastic. And the smells of the product. I find a lot of beard oils and beard products, not that it's a bad smell, but a lot of them smell very similar. And I found that this one has, it's a different smell. So you're not blending in with all the other guys with beards in the room. And it's also not overpowering. So.
All right, I want to ask a little bit about, have you guys ever had a moment, or have you been in a place in your lives where you're like, I'm sick of this beard, I'm sick of this hair, I just want to get rid of it, but you can't because it would kill the gimmick?
The beard, no. The hair, yes.
It's funny because that's exactly the same answer I was going to give. When I'm trying to deal with my hair on a regular basis and I can't just let it be all long and wet and down and everything, it's a pain, but, it's worth it.
Fun question. Who wins in a fight? Fear the Beard or Mustache Mountain?
Well,
experience.
The real question here is why would we be fighting? They got mustaches,
I like that.
We got beards. Sounds like the perfect pairing.
Okay.
I like that answer better.
All right, so then the follow-up question then is, in a face-off, a facial hair competition, who wins, Fear the Beard or Mustache Mountain?
Well, I mean, we have more facial hair, so by definition, we win.
Do you guys like?
It depends what the parameter of this facial hair competition is.
That's true. If it's looking acceptable in a social setting, they might have us. But any other grounds, I think we win on that one.
If we're talking volume of facial hair, then we've definitely got it.
I'll have to put the question out to all of our listeners there who are tuning in. Come up with 3 stages of hell for a face-off between Fear the Beard and Mustache Mountain, but they all have to be within facial hair parameters. I think that would be a true test of the mettle of both teams. I want to talk a little bit about tattoos. You guys are both tattoos. You guys both have tattoos. You're both tattoo guys. I'd like you guys to each tell me your favorite tattoo and what it means to you.
Well, okay, so I have currently 3 tattoos. I'm planning on getting more.
As the case always is with people. They can never just get one.
Yeah, it's funny. I got the first one, and I was like, I got it pretty close to my 18th, like right after my 18th birthday. And I was like, I kind of hope this hurts so much I never want another one. And then that didn't work. But 2 of my tattoos are kind of like memorial, personal things. So I rather than tell a depressing story, instead I will talk about my 3rd tattoo, which is on my ankle. I have a fish hook that's like partially embedded into my leg. For me, I grew up fishing. I started fishing before I could even walk, and it's always been a huge part of my life. And it's kind of where I do a lot of my reflecting and a lot of my visualizing, and it's not really about actually catching any fish. It's just about having some time disconnected from everything and spending it outside. And so that's always been a super important part of my life and something I felt the need to memorialize.
Okay, well, if we're taking out going into depressing stories because of memorial tattoos, I'm pretty limited then. I have 5 myself, 3 of which are memorials. So I guess that leaves me with 2 to talk about. I can do both of them very easily. One of them on the back of my elbow, I have just the outline of the Torture Chamber Pro Wrestling Dojo logo, without the wording and everything in it, but just the black and blue X. I got it. Well, I started to get it. It's still a work in progress because getting a tattoo on your elbow itself when you wrestle, it takes forever to heal and never heals properly, so it's constant touch-ups. I got it after, I had kind of gotten our coach, Drew Onyx's blessing to start wrestling, when he started helping me get matches and stuff like that, and I became a wrestler. It was not a statement of branding or anything like that. For me, it was like all of my tattoos are about important moments in my life. And this was, that moment of, I went through it, I did it, and, I actually accomplished what I set out to. So of my non-depressing tattoos, that would be the one that means the most to me.
I just wanted to quickly put it out there that, you don't be afraid to talk about something that necessarily you feel might bum the listeners out, because those things are personal. And you know what? We don't mind talking about personal things here. But if, we want to keep it light, we'll keep it light a little bit. Cable, let's talk a little bit about.
I'll give out some information. It doesn't. This one here is a little bit less, of a long, convoluted, depressing story. On the inside of my wrist, I have the words "walk it off." It was something that my father said to us regularly. Me and all of my siblings heard it constantly. Whether I broke my ankle and came hobbling home, it was just like, yeah, you'll be fine. Walk it off. My brother was a skateboarder. Fell and, split his knee open, and my stepdad grabbed crazy glue and closed it up, and he's like, there you go. Walk it off. So it was just something that we always heard growing up. So when he passed away the next year on Father's Day, me, my brother, and my sister all went and got slightly different placement for each of us because my brother already had tattoos on his arm and couldn't do exactly where I wanted it. I wanted mine in a specific spot so that when I wear my watch, when I work, because I have an office job as well, I was able to hide it. Now I've got sleeves, so that's less important. So we all went and got the same matching tattoo that says "walk it off." And, whenever life gets me down or I feel like giving up on something because it's too hard, I can always kind of just look down at that and, kick myself in the butt to keep going.
Now, see, you sat there and I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to say, but there's a prime example. You guys sat there and said, we don't want to tell depressing stories. To me, that's uplifting. That's an incredible story. And I want to thank you for sharing that with us because, to me, that's a great story. And I think that's the stories that those are the reasons people tend to get their tattoos. And I found that story fascinating and personal. And thank you is basically what I'm trying to get at. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for giving me a platform to share it.
Feel free.
I'll share one of mine too then.
Please.
On my left bicep, I have the words "out of kindness," I suppose. It's a song or a song lyric from a Willie Nelson song called "Poncho and Lefty." When I was growing up, there was this gentleman who is, those family friends that you call uncle when you're a kid, but they're not really your uncle.
Sure do.
So it was one of these people. He was actually one of the people that taught me how to fish and spent a lot of time fishing with me. But at night at my cottage, we'd always have campfires, and he was a musician, so he'd always break out the guitar. And I grew up listening to him every summer. I couldn't wait to hear him play that song, Poncho and Lefty, again and again. And so then he had a reputation for being a bit of a curmudgeon, shall we say, in the later years. But to me, he was always the same guy. He was always super cool, and he was always looking out for me. And so, unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. And I listened to that song the day of the funeral, and I was like, you know what, I gotta get that line tattooed on me. So I did. It was actually the last tattoo I've gotten. I haven't gotten one since, but just out of lack of time, not out of anything else. But yeah, that's my story.
See, that's another wonderful story. Thank you guys for sharing those stories with us and our listeners. I really, really appreciate that. Now, you brought up Willie Nelson, and music, I imagine, must be an influence for you guys. When people look at you, they might assume you guys like a particular kind of music, but I would be interested to know about some of your musical influences and what kind of music you guys like to listen to. I know Cable's a big Alexis on Fire fan. We saw it because he recently went to see them when they were in Ottawa, and you seem to have a good time.
Oh, that was a night I waited for a long time. I listened to that was like one of the first, basically for a good portion of my childhood. I did not know there was a kind of music other than country music because that was all my parents listened to, and there was no real way to discover music back then, right? Like, there's no YouTube, there's no Spotify. So if you didn't hear it organically, you didn't really know about it. And one of the first bands that I listened to outside of country was actually this is, a bit embarrassing that it took me this long to catch on, but Alexis on Fire. So, yeah, it was to see them live for the first time, and I was right up at the front of, like, the stage, and I think someone said there was 10,000 people there, so there was like 10,000 people behind me, and the mosh pit was crazy. So that was a good time. But I get that a lot. Like, I get a lot of people looking at me and they're like, "Oh yeah, you probably into heavy metal or screamo or that kind of stuff," and I am. But I'm one of those people that listens to everything, and when I say that, I mean it. Everything, man. I love country music, love rap music, some pop music, still pretty good. You name it, I will give it a listen.
And there you have it, the part one of a two-part series we're going to be doing with those guys from Fear the Beard. Great guys. Really enjoyed talking with them. We're going to have more of them coming up, so stick around for that, listeners. You're going to have a lot more. And hey, speaking of more, there's a lot of great ways you can get more with WrestleMedia. First of all, take a visit to WrestleMedia.ca, and the first thing that you're going to see there is our newsletter. You'll get a little pop-up saying, hey, you'd like to subscribe to this? We think you should. It's pretty awesome. And you should. It is pretty awesome. For free, every single week, you'll be getting yourself a heaping pile of WrestleMedia stuff. Featured episodes. We're going to talk about some of the interviews that we do, and maybe even get some previews and exclusive contests. It's a great little way to stay connected with everything happening in the world of WrestleMedia, so check that out. But that's not all, Matt. We're also going places, and I don't mean that in a metaphorical sense, although it is nice, and yes, I think we are going places. I mean that in a very literal sense. We are going places because we are on the road, Matt. Especially this week. Holy cow, are we ever busy this week?
It's good. It's good to be busy.
No doubt. It's good to be anywhere these days. You know that old saying? Yes, absolutely. We are going to be so busy this week because we are starting things off in SummerSlam mode. By the time you're listening to this, if you're listening to this for free at WrestleMedia.ca, then you've probably already missed Never Say Never, which is too bad because it's going to be an amazing show. If you're listening to us on Patreon, you still got a chance to get your tickets over at the Transact Club, where you can witness some incredible matches. Space Monkey versus RJ City. We got Anthony Kingdom James defending the Union Championship. It all goes down at 292 Brunswick Avenue in Toronto. WrestlersUnion.ca is the place to go for more information. Of course, if you're listening for free, then we are one day away from the summit. If you're listening as part of our Patreon, well, guess what? Then you don't gotta worry about it. You're good for a while. So good. You got some time. Do it. What an incredible gathering of women's wrestling. You know, we were talking about Becky Lynch at the beginning of the show. You know, this is where the future Becky Lynches are going to be coming out of. These companies, Rise, Smash, Femme Fatale, Shimmer, so many great talents, Lufisto, Rosemary, Mercedes Martinez, Jordan Grace, and of course, the legend herself, Bull Nakano, is going to be at the event as well. That is this Saturday at the Midtown Event Center, 2492 Yonge Street in Toronto. Smash-wrestling.com or smash-wrestling.com for more details. Of course, the next week, we heard, the Fear the Beard talking about it on the show. Fighting Back 9, August 16th. At St. Anthony's Banquet Hall at 523 St. Anthony Street in Ottawa. Visit c4wrestling.com for details because you can't get tickets. It's sold out, baby, which is great news because all of the ticket proceeds and pretty much almost all the money raised that night is going to the Canadian Cancer Society, which is awesome. Chinlock Wrestling the next night has their event, Fallout, from the Chinlock Wrestling Academy at 824 Palace Road in Napanee. We're going to be there as well. They just announced it before we started recording. Beautiful Bia is going to be defending her newly won Chinlock Championship for the first time against the former champion, Jessie Mack. Man, what an emotional match that's going to be, but maybe not as emotional as the main event for the Cale Murphy Memorial Championship. CJ Felony is going to be in a fight against Jan Murphy for the title. This one's going to be absolutely nuts. I cannot wait to see it. So, we're going to be a lot of different places. Come on out, say hi to us, show your support. But if you can't come out, well, there's another way you can show your support. A big way, Matt. Tell them a little bit about Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon is where you can go to help us get this to where we want it to be. We would love to give you this full-time, all the time, anytime, and the only way we can do that is with your support. So go to patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. There's different tiers, different ways you can help us out, but we also help you out by giving you more content based on those tiers, anywhere from $2 to $20 a month. Anything you can give us can help us out. It'll really go a long way. We really appreciate it, from early episodes to unreleased content to uncensored content. We'll give it all to you by being a Patreon exclusive member. So head over patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. You also can get some merchandise. We've given away tickets to different shows. Lots of great stuff available for anyone that wants to sign up to be a Patreon exclusive member of WrestleMedia.
And if you can't put a few ducats in the bucket, that's okay. There's other ways that you can support us.
I didn't get to say the ducats in the bucket thing. Damn it.
You just said it now.
Yay.
You can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WrestleMedia.ca. We also have our own YouTube channel, which you should check out. If all has gone to plan, there should be a brand new video looking at my adventures at Muskoka Con last weekend, and what an adventure it was. Let's just say we were talking about video games earlier. It kind of rolls back into that theme. It's interesting, I'll tell you that much. So check that video out, then subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you know every time we get a new video posted for you. But you can still help us out some more by rating and reviewing us. If you're listening to us on iTunes, be our own personal Dave Meltzer and give us 5 stars so that we can rise up the ranks and get more people listening to us, or just plain old share the podcast. Doesn't matter how, social media, in person, just finding people on the street and yelling at them, hey, listen to WrestleMedia.ca. Doesn't matter to us.
That's usually the most effective.
That's how we've gotten our listeners so far, actually. It's been our most effective word of mouth advertising. So it doesn't matter how you do it, just do it for us. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate you stopping to listen to us this week here for free at WrestleMedia.ca. If you are one of our incredible patrons who have put some ducats in the bucket, stick around. We got some more content coming your way in just a few moments. But in the meantime, thanks so much for listening, and until then, I'm at Adam Conta, that's at Matthew Sukram, and you know what to do. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat.
This has been a presentation of WrestleMedia, where everything is wrestling and wrestling is everything.
Here's what you're missing out on right now over at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. Let me ask you, how do you feel like this match stacks up against, say, Triple H versus Batista at WrestleMania? Which match do you think is a better attraction?
Honestly, Triple H versus Batista is a better attraction because at least there is a little bit of a storyline built in. I know at the time I was saying, again, been there, done that, seen that, but there was some story built in there. This is just awkward.
It seems a little weird that it's Goldberg who accepts the challenge and not
Shawn
Michaels, who makes the most sense given that it's been Shawn Michaels who has been interacting with Dolph Ziggler over the last few weeks.
Want more? Sign up now at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca.